This Twitter broadcast went for just over an hour. About 1.7 million people tuned in. Do you think Twitter was an effective choice to launch this campaign?
It was a creative idea, and creativity is what's needed to take down President Trump in the Republican primary. There's only two viable candidates, even though there's a lot of candidates who have entered the race, and that's former President Trump and Governor Ron DeSantis. That's because in 2024, the Republicans, it's not about a referendum on Trumpism, it's about the question of what's the next iteration of Trumpism. And here is Ron DeSantis, someone who really revels in the culture wars, revels in fighting against ESG investing and kind of this wokeness of big institutions. And so he saw an untraditional way of entering the race through Twitter, through Elon Musk, who have kind of also reveled in going against the institutions of media, which has a large distrust. But of course, taking this creativity is a risk. And we saw that in his launch with the trouble with the technical difficulties and just kind of the ridicule from it. And so it just goes to show you that creativity is needed, but creativity is far from enough for Ron DeSantis to make a formidable challenge to Donald Trump.
And doing this alongside Elon Musk and David Sacks really shows how Twitter has become a much more safer space for conservatives to share the message. It also gives us some insight, I guess, into the type of campaign that DeSantis is going to run. So let's put the method to one side. What about the message? What was his pitch to voters?
His pitch to voters, and it's a pitch not to the broader electorate, it's to the Republican primary voters who still like Trump, but are a little concerned about his personality, who are concerned about his controversies, and then concerned about his electability. And so what Ron DeSantis is, I am someone, as he said, that is part of a culture of winning. He won a big re-election in Florida back in the midterms last year, and he put a lot of conservative points on the board in his legislative agenda this year for things like going against Disney, for ESG investing, for abortion, for guns, for banning books, a lot of different things that score points with the base of conservatives, but then he can say, look, I win, unlike President Trump, who's kind of focused with a lot of different of his own controversies. And so that is the message that he wants to take to the Republican electorate. But the problem is some of these Republicans aren't necessarily buying what he is selling, and that there's a lot of Republican voters who still believe Trump won the 2020 election, that they really revel in his fights against prosecutors, against Democrats, against the media. And there's a lot of Republicans who also do not care for Trump and Trumpism and are a little concerned about DeSantis hewing too closely to that archetype. And so it's a challenge for DeSantis to win over Trump voters, but also to win over non-Trump Republican voters. And sometimes if you're trying to do too many things, you end up not winning over anyone.